Namaskar, good morning. You are watching Rajya Sabha television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. Christian Michel to be quizzed by the CBI after it gets 5-day custody of the middleman in the VVIP chopper case. UK seeks information about his extradition. India will maintain high growth rate of 7 to 8% over the next decade, says Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Stresses landmark reforms like insolvency and bankruptcy code offer conducive environment for foreign investors. Elaborate security arrangements for polling in Rajasthan and Telangana on Friday. 2,274 candidates in fray for 199 seats in Rajasthan, 1,821 candidates contesting 119 seats in Telangana. Tributes pour in for the father of the Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, on his 63rd Mahaparinirvan Divas. President, Vice President and Prime Minister lead nation in paying homage. And India lose early wickets in their first test against Australia at Adelaide. Kohli wins the toss and elects to bat first in the first of the 4-match series down under. The CBI gets to question Christian Michel, the alleged middleman in the 3,600 crore rupees Augusta Westland VVIP chopper deal after the agency was granted his 5-day custody. A court in Delhi allowed his custodial interrogation after the agency said it needed to interrogate him to trace the 37 million euros that he allegedly received for the deal. The court asked the CBI to provide all relevant documents, including the charge sheet, to Michel. Christian Michel is a British businessman. He was brought to India late on Tuesday night after his extradition by the UAE in connection with the case. The CBI says Michel James may prove to be the missing link in the money trail in the alleged multi-crore scam. He will again be produced in the court on 10th of December. The Augusta Westland case involves the deal to purchase 12 luxury helicopters for the use by the President, Prime Minister, former Prime Ministers and other VIPs when Manmohan Singh's Congress-led coalition was in power. In 2014, the government scrapped the contract amid allegations that Augusta Westland, whose parent company Finmeccanica faced charges of bribery in Italy, had paid kickbacks in India. Christian Michel is one of the 3 middlemen being examined in the case, along with Guido Hashki and Carlo Girosa. The Congress on Wednesday expelled Indian Youth Congress leader and lawyer Algio K. Joseph from the party after he appeared in a court for Christian Michel in the VVIP chopper case. In a statement, the Youth Congress said that Joseph represented Michel in his personal capacity and did not consult the party before appearing in the case. The action was taken after a spokesperson of the Mumbai BJP unit said that Joseph was a Youth Congress functionary, evoking sharp reactions from various quarters. Following criticism, the Congress expelled Joseph from the party. The UK government has said that it has sought urgent information from India on the circumstances surrounding the detention and extradition of Christian Michel. A spokesperson for the UK's Foreign and Commonwealth Office said that our staff continue to support the family of a British man following his detention in the UAE. The spokesperson added, "We are in contact with his family and the Emirati authorities regarding his case and are urgently seeking information from the Indian authorities on his circumstances." Now, former coal secretary in UPA government H.C. Gupta has been sentenced to 3 years in jail by a Delhi court in connection with a coal block allocation scam. Two other bureaucrats, K.S. Krofa, former joint secretary in the Ministry of Coal, and K.C. Samria, former director in the ministry, were also sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. The three bureaucrats were also fined 50,000 rupees each. They have been granted statutory bail. The court has sentenced Vikas Patni, MD of Vikas Metals and Power Limited, and its authorized signatory Anand Malik to 4 years in prison. The court also imposed a fine of 25 lakh rupees on Patni and 2 lakh rupees on Malik. A fine of 1 lakh rupees was imposed on the company. The case relates to irregularities in the allocation of North and South coal blocks in West Bengal to VMPL. In September 2012, the CBI registered an FIR in the case. Repo rate is the rate which RBI lends to commercial banks. Now, reserve repo rate stands at 6.25%. The marginal standing facility rate and the bank rate stands at 6.75%. The cash reserve ratio also stands at 4%. The Reserve Bank has projected GDP growth rate for the current year at 7.4%. For the first half of the next fiscal year, RBI has projected growth rate at 7.5%. RBI has lowered retail inflation projection to be between 2.7 to 3.2% for the second half of 2018 and 19, citing normal monsoon and moderate food prices. The central bank has cut the statutory liquidity ratio or SLR by 25 basis points every quarter. This is from January to March until SLR reaches 18% for the net demand and time liabilities. The current SLR is 19.5%. The Monetary Policy Committee maintained that policy stance to calibrated tightening.
The Monetary Policy Committee evaluated current and evolving macroeconomic conditions and voted today to maintain status quo. Crude oil prices have declined by close to 30% since they peaked in early October at about the time of the last policy, reflecting higher supplies and easing of geopolitical tensions. In many key EMEs, inflation has risen, but the recent retreat in energy prices and stabilizing of currencies may have a salutary impact going forward.
We are also reducing the SLR, which is currently 19.5%, over a 6-quarter period to 18% at the rate of 25 basis points each. Currently, the banks are allowed to use a part of their SLR to be treated as HQLA for LCR. That will, of course, continue even after this.
And the Reserve Bank of India has said that an expert committee will be constituted to propose long-term solutions for the economic and financial sustainability of the MSME sector. It added the panel's composition and its terms of reference will be finalized by the end of December.
The Ombudsman scheme for digital transaction will be administered and funded by the Reserve Bank and will cover entities falling under the Reserve Bank's regulatory jurisdiction, it means beyond the banking as well, providing the related services. An expert committee would be constituted by the Reserve Bank of India to identify causes and propose long-term solution for the economic and financially sustainability of the MSME sector.
And the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said that India is likely to maintain the high growth rate of 7 to 8% over the next decade. He said that the 7% economic growth rate by Indian standards is now considered to be the lower end of the moderate growth rate as the country aspires to cross the 7% mark. Jaitley was speaking at the inaugural address of the Conference on Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, a new paradigm for stressed assets at the Indian Consulate General in New York through video conferencing. Highlighting the investment opportunities in India, Jaitley said that country's landmark reforms such as the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code also offer an attractive and conducive environment to foreign investors to the country.
But this is a great opportunity in India for investors to come and bid for these assets. I say this because of more than one reason. The number of assets which are going for takeover through the IDC process is extremely large. This also would be directly related to how we see the Indian market, the Indian economy over the next 1 or 2 decades, because any long-term investor would obviously be interested in looking at the potential as far as these assets are concerned, depending upon the market available in India itself.
And now all the election news in Battleground 2018. After hectic election campaigning in Rajasthan and Telangana ended yesterday, both the states will go to polls tomorrow. In Rajasthan, the Vasundhara Raje-led government is seeking a second consecutive term, with party bigwigs appealing to the people to give BJP another chance. The Congress, however, is fighting for a comeback. The state's 4.74 crore citizens will now elect members for 199 seats out of 200 on Friday, for which over 2,200 candidates are in the fray. Main contenders BJP and Congress have fielded 200 and 195 candidates respectively, along with Bahujan Samaj Party with 190 candidates. 840 candidates are contesting election as independents. Election to Ramgarh Assembly stands postponed after the death of BSP candidate. The country's youngest state, Telangana, is between the ruling TRS and the Congress-led People's Alliance. Looking for a comeback in the state, the TRS has cautioned people to be wary of Andhra rulers who are seeking to gain control over Telangana once again. This is KCR's direct attack on TDP rival Chandrababu Naidu, who has joined hands with the Congress and other parties to form the People's Alliance. There are 1,821 candidates in fray for 119 constituencies in the state, with the TRS fielding candidates in all 119 seats. The Congress has fielded 99 candidates. Its allies, Telugu Desam Party and CPI, have fielded 13 and 3 candidates. BJP has fielded 118 candidates. And over 65% polling has been recorded in the first phase of the Panchayat elections in Assam that were held on Wednesday. Repolling has been ordered in around 20 polling stations after voters complained of anomalies in the ballot papers on 7th of December. The Assam State Election Commissioner has said that the voting percentage is likely to rise considerably as there were long queues at many booths even after the closing of the polling time at 3 p.m. yesterday. The state witnessed 76.76% voting in the last Panchayat elections in 2013. The first phase polls was held in 16 districts to decide the political fate of 43,515 contestants. Voting was held for 15,899 posts in the 3 tiers of Panchayati Raj, Zilla Parishad, Achalik Panchayat and Gaon Panchayat. Altogether, 442 candidates of various parties have already been declared winners uncontested. The second phase of polling will be held on 9th of December and counting will take place on 12th of December. And with that, time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
GDP numbers have been rolling year after year, but this year, more than the numbers, the methodology is being talked about.
GDP growth calculated year after year after year, as you are saying, but then this is always done with the base year, and which is supposed to be 100, and then you calculate the growth over that. And this is done because you want to capture the structural changes in the economy.
I feel that it's a needless controversy which is undermining this humongous statistical exercise.
By just raising this issue, by implication, people are trying to undermine the credibility of the CSO, which is a real pity.
All those people who are saying that it's a jobless growth, what is the actual picture?
I mean, those who talk about jobless growth always fail to give you any data.
Watch To The Point with the Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog only on Rajya Sabha television.
Rabindranath Tagore was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 for his book Gitanjali. In 1950, he composed the music and lyrics for India's national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. And when Bangladesh became independent in 1971, they chose Tagore's song, Amar Shonar Bangla, as its national anthem. Tagore's life and works have made him a cultural icon, studied the world over, even into the 21st century.
Welcome back. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan has called an all-party meeting on 11th of December, the first day of the Parliament's winter session, to build a consensus for a smooth functioning of the lower house. Another all-party meeting has been called by the Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu and the government on 10th of December. The winter session from December 11th to 8th of January will be the last full-fledged session before the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Centre's first draft of child protection policy to prevent child abuse in shelter homes is ready. This was informed by the government to the Supreme Court on Wednesday. It informed the Supreme Court that once finalized, the child protection policy will act as a direction to the states and stakeholders involved in proper running of shelter homes. In May this year, the Apex Court had asked the government to frame a child protection policy by analysing the social audit data on child care institutions from across the country. And the Supreme Court has ordered the attachment and sale of a reality firm, Amrapali's five-star hotel, cinema hall, malls and factories across India. The Apex Court called the firm a worst kind of cheater and a perfect liar for not complying with the court's direction. The top court also ordered attachment of 4 swanky corporate offices of the group in Noida and Greater Noida and asked the Debt Recovery Tribunal, Delhi, to auction them. The top court gave a window to the firm's directors and their family members to return home buyers' money if they have it by 10th of December. It asked the firm to explain by next week the diversion of around 3,000 crore rupees of home buyers' money for other purposes. The bench pulled up the firm for repeated non-compliance with the court's direction and not giving the data of business transactions for the period of 2015 to 18 to the forensic auditors. The court is seized of a batch of petitions filed by the home buyers who are seeking possession of around 42,000 flats booked in projects of Amrapali Group. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari on Wednesday inaugurated the India Water Impact Summit in New Delhi. The 3-day summit is jointly organized by the National Mission for Clean Ganga and the Centre for Ganga River Basin Management and Studies.
At the India Water Summit, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari underscoring the need for proper planning to effectively use of our water resources, drawing the attention of the audience to technologies and innovations that can clean India's water. He disclosed that the results from the Namami Gange program projects are quite visible now.
वो जो कानपुर का सबसे बड़ा सिसामाऊ नाला जो वर्ल्ड में जिसकी चर्चा होती थी, वर्ल्ड वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट ड्रेन्स इन इंडिया, when 140 mld untreated water is now diverted and no more pollutes Ganga. Kanpur is free from all the ill effect of this drain after 128 years.
Gadkari released the Green Ganga geotagging mobile app on the occasion. Developed by the National Remote Sensing Center of ISRO, it tracks afforestation efforts under the Namami Gange mission. Gadkari also released reports of 5 state projects under the same mission. Union Minister Hardeep Puri, who also addressed the gathering, called Namami Gange a government program that should transform into a mass people's movement.
The response of common citizens, students, to mobilize and undertake cleaning activities in and around the river is indeed heartening. Respect for nature is part of the Indian ethos. Unfortunately, over the years, the greed of some vested interests combined with public apathy led to the degeneration of this great river.
The India Water Impact Summit is an annual event where stakeholders discuss, debate and develop model solutions for water-related problems in the country. This year, the discussion is on the rejuvenation of the Ganga River basin. Nearly 200 domestic and international participants from nearly 15 countries and over 50 central, state and municipal government representatives took part in the summit. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And with that, time for another very short break. Stay with us.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. International developments now. Russia has warned United States of developing banned missiles if the latter walks out of a key arms treaty. Now, Vladimir Putin's remarks came a day after the US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, announced at a NATO meeting that Washington will suspend its obligations under the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty in 60 days, blaming Russia of cheating. Putin said that it would too develop banned missiles if United States decides to do the same by pulling out of the treaty, while United States claims that Russia's new missile could give Moscow the ability to launch a nuclear strike in Europe with little or no notice. Denying the accusations, Russia has blamed the US of making up excuses for pulling out of the pact. Donald Trump had earlier this year announced his decision to withdraw from the INF, accusing both Russia and China of violating the pact. And now the latest from the Sri Lankan politics, where Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena has said that the current political crisis in the country will not drag on beyond 7 days. Sirisena's statement comes days after a lower court temporarily banned Sirisena-appointed Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapakse from performing his duties. On Tuesday, in his strongest yet statement against the president, United National Party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe said that his party was prepared to face elections as they are not afraid. Wickremesinghe's statement came after Sirisena justified his sacking, saying he was left with no option but to sack Wickremesinghe as he was destroying the noble principles of the good governance. Sri Lanka is going through a major political crisis since 26th of October, when President Sirisena, in a controversial move, removed Wickremesinghe and installed ex-strongman Rajapakse in his place. And sports news now. The first test of the 4-match series between India and Australia is underway at Adelaide. Now, after winning the toss, Indian skipper Virat Kohli elected to bat first. Batting first, India lost wickets in quick succession. Opener KL Rahul was the first Indian batsman to depart for just 2 runs, while Australian pacer Mitchell Starc got rid of Murali Vijay for 11. Now, skipper Kohli was the next man to depart. He scored 3 runs before getting caught at gully by Pat Cummins' delivery. After Kohli's wicket, India were 3 down for just 19 runs. Cheteshwar Pujara and Rohit Sharma are still on the crease. Germany defeated Netherlands 4-1 in their second Pool D match of the Men's Hockey World Cup in Bhubaneswar, while the other Pool D match between Pakistan and Malaysia ended in a draw. Two-time champions Germany defeated last edition's medalist Netherlands 4-1 to move closer towards booking a direct quarter-final berth in the tournament. Germany is at the top of the Pool D, standing with 6 points from 2 games. Earlier, they defeated Pakistan in their opening match. While the second Pool D game between Pakistan and Malaysia ended on a 1-1 draw. With this, Pakistan is on the 3rd position in the Pool D with 1 point, while Malaysia is at 4th. In today's Pool A matches, Spain will face New Zealand, while Argentina will face on France in the second Pool A match. Host India will face Canada in their 3rd Pool C match on Saturday. And the nation is marking the 63rd Mahaparinirvan Divas of the father of the Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, today. Several programs are slated to be held today to mark the day. A function to pay floral tributes will be organized at Baba Sahib's statue in Parliament House lawns. President, Vice President and Prime Minister Modi are leading the nation in paying tributes to Dr. Ambedkar. And that's all we have for you in this edition. Thank you for watching.